Today we have a really exciting visit from Norway all the way down to south of Sweden, and Sigberg audio with some really cool monitors for hi-fi and studio.
Yes. My name is Torbjørn Sigberg, founder of Sigberg Audio. So I do the development and design of all our systems. So we have active speaker systems for studios and also sell to music enthusiasts. Then focus on active speakers. I would call it high-end, relatively expensive stuff, but also very good, and also integrates very well in rooms. Even in most of us have less than perfect studios, right? So
like this room.
So they actually work very well there as well.
Yeah. So would you say, did you start out with the ambition to do like hi-fi or studio stuff?
I guess originally it was hi-fi that was the sort of main target, but my philosophy sort of leans toward the scientific approach and neutral sound, and it gained some interest in the studio sort of environment in Norway. So started looking into that as an alternative as well, and also sort of, especially with the Manta, we also had that in mind when developing it.
The neutral sound, is that like something that you want to achieve even in hi-fi, or?
Yeah, so it depends what you mean by neutral, I guess.
Yeah. Like flat.
Yeah, so some studio monitors are even in room, and that's not really what I mean. It's that you have a anechoically flat speaker, but you have a natural slope in room typically. So I think if you have a flat in room slope, I don't think that, I wouldn't call that neutral.
Yeah.
So it's actually a tonality with a bit of bass in room, and that ends up sounding natural.
A side note to that, now when you're talking about it, like a speaker being totally flat in the room, seems like that would skew your psychoacoustic, because when we speak here, it's not like we hear the room, we just think of it as neutral sound.
Yeah.
And if manipulate your voice so that it's completely frequently neutral, it would sound weird, I guess.
Yeah, but there's a bit of different schools there, and of course if you have small monitors and sit really close, then it will be a lot of direct sound, so then it would sound closer to flat as well. But in a normal room or a perfectly damped studio room with a bit of distance, then you get the slope naturally.
So you told me before you started about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it like did you feel like you took a plunge economically, or was it?
Yeah, so it's as most startups, I guess, it's economic plunge, and it's risk in all kinds of regards, I guess. Yeah. But I've been sort of a hi-fi nerd since I was like 10 years old, so it's always been a dream of mine to also not only listen to music, but produce something and
contribute.
Yeah, contribute. I'm not a musician, but it seems like I have a knack for this, and cool. To contribute to studios especially, I think it's really cool to be part of the sort of production chain for music that I listen to and love. That's super cool.
I mean, it makes sense to have a product reaches like from the production stage to the end listener. Makes sense to have the same, what do you call it, benchmark.
Yeah, and the same sort of tonality. Yeah. And, so that's they call it sort of the circle of confusion. It's a bit strange that you don't have control of like what monitors you record on and what people listen to, and it's like surprisingly a lot of, I guess most records have a reasonable tonality still. So the sound engineers are able to work around that somehow.
I remember my first studio, or like the studio I had where I actually started work as a producer. The room was really bad, monitors was really bad, and now when I listen to those records, I can hear what the room did for my decisions.
Yeah,
it's not good. But anyways, you have 2 different lines of monitors, or would you say?
Yeah,
it's like
we have one very new floor standards as well, but that's mostly to sort of hi-fi. It's quite rare to have floor standards in the studios. So there's two different monitors, and you actually have both here now. So so it's the Mantas. It's sort of the top of the line, and sort of intentionally sort of designed over the top. They have extreme SPL capacity. So there's a 12-inch mid-bass and a coaxial driver, and it's a speaker system, so there's stereo subs as well. Either we have a dual 10 sub and a 12-inch sub.
Yeah, you set up the other system here today.
Yeah.
And those subs are
12-inch,
but they don't take up a lot of space in the room.
No, they're quite compact.
Are the other ones you can stack them, or?
Yeah, the other ones are more traditional square form, but they're quite small as well. With the dual 10-inch. Talking about maybe creating a dual 12 as well now. That will have maybe an enclosure that's quite similar to this one. So you can sort of stack it below or maybe even on top as well if you want to go crazy. And these are also what we call a cardioid dispersion pattern, which is relatively rare. I guess in the studio you're used to sort of cardioid mics where you have sort of it takes up the sound from one side. So this is sort of the inverse of that. Typical speaker, there's quite a lot of sound wrapping around the speaker, so you get reflections from the side wall and the rear walls as well. But here you have slots on the side, so you get the sound out of phase from behind the drivers that sort of cancel out the sound that goes to the sides and to the rear, and you get more direct sound and less trouble with acoustics in the room.
Does that make it easier to like compared to other monitors? Is it more beneficial to have it closer to a wall, or?
Yeah, both works, but both that and the fact that we have like speaker systems, so the bass is separate in the subs, makes it easier to have it close to the wall. And even with a usual traditional monitor, it's often beneficial to have it quite close to the wall from the 100 to 300-400. You often get dips there if you have it a bit from the wall, so you sort of avoid that as well. So you can have it as close as you can get it from the cables and maybe up to 30, 40, 50 centimeters out.
So you said the placement of the subs in conjunction with the tops is not super crucial, or?
So of course, ideally you should experiment all around in the room, but in reality you often don't have that sort of
is that because the bass is omnidirectional, so the
and you have
bass is not as...
No, it's not that crucial, but you will get peaks and dips depending on where it is in the room. Most of our systems are delivered with at least 2 subs, and then that in itself evens it out a bit. And in studios you often want stereo sound, a stereo bass as well, so then it's normal to sort of place them not too far from the monitors on each. There's a built-in EQ here as well, so you can fix the room a bit below 100 Hz.
So is that something you can do when you install a system, like do measurements and?
So it's part of the price sort of includes that we either on site or remotely help with measurements and adjusting.
We can just talk a little bit about like stereo subs. We talked about it before, and I mean a lot of budget studios or home studios usually use a mono sub, and in my opinion, problematic. When you collapse a stereo information, you can obviously cancel out everything that is out of phase with each other. So if you have a stereo information in the lower frequencies, you don't actually know what's going on. So then you have everything on that frequency even in the mix, because otherwise you might have a lot of low end, but you don't hear it because it's canceled out, or the opposite. So for me, it's always been like I would rather have no subs than one sub.
Yeah, I guess there's different schools of thought there as well, and I agree to an extent at least, but at least for sort of more casual home listening, it could work well with on one sub often as well. And in studio, I guess it depends a bit on sort of the type of music and the type of how you mix it. Some mix most of the bass in mono anyway. And also, as we discussed a bit earlier, that most instruments, they have overtones and things that are higher up than the sub, so you still get the sort of spatial cues from the monitors. But definitely, ideally, you'd have...
When you do mastering for vinyl, you already want to collapse everything beneath 20 Hz to mono. And some mixes I worked on, not much happens when you do it, but other mixes, it's like, whoa. So then you have to start adding or subtracting low frequencies, and in those cases, I mean, if I would have just mastered on a mono sub, I would never have caught the difference. Anyways.
So I guess at least if you have mono sub, I guess you should at least mix in mono, so you hear that end result.
So other monitors that you installed here today, I'm gonna try out now for a month. I'm very excited about that.
So that's the SPS. They are quite a bit smaller, but still high capacity. Could easily be used as like mid-range monitors in a quite large studio. They don't have the cardioid pattern, but they have a very even dispersion pattern still. So they still integrate relatively easily in the room, because even you get some reflections, but they're sort of have the same sort of tonality than the on axis. And they have the same coaxial driver as in this. Very high quality driver.
And that is like 2 drivers in one.
Yeah, so there's a 5.5-inch mid-range and a silk tone tweeter. Both speakers are sort of one of my, I guess, our sort of design thing I designed for is to have a high resolution, very detailed sound, but I don't want it to be harsh. I don't want it to be fatiguing.
Yeah.
So I want it to be able to have long listening sessions, long working sessions. So natural detail, but not
That's
fatiguing.
Actually, yeah, you asked me before what I was thinking when I listened, and I just said it felt familiar and comfortable. And that's because the monitors that I've worked on recently that I like have the same sort of, yeah, it's a lot of details in the high end, but it's not fatiguing.
Right.
And some other more modern style monitors that I have tried lately. I'm not sure what it is, if it has to do with the transients or what it is, but it just feels like there's so much high end in a weird way.
Yeah. So some manufacturers have a sort of a pretty hard approach to the equalizing of the drivers as well. So they've sort of hammered it flat and maybe very like high level crossovers and stuff like that as well. Here there's actually basically first order crossovers. So we have linear phase across the crossover as well.
Yeah.
That makes it sound a bit more natural. Do a few things a bit differently to ensure that it sounds natural. So yeah, natural sound, lots of capacity. Another feedback we get is that there's a quite large stereo image and sound stage. So that both sounds good, but it also somehow feels like there's more space in the mix. So you're able to fitting more easily and faster, and also maybe take some different choices and be bolder in some frequencies. On other monitors maybe didn't realize that you had that space. It also translates very well. That's also a feedback we get. So
nice.
So it's not just when you listen to them.
I haven't mixed on them yet, so I don't know how they translate in that way, but I've listened to some stuff that I have worked on, and it feels very familiar but eye-opening at the same time.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to hear your experience.
It's gonna be a lot of fun to work on them. One thing that was also a bit special with your products is that they are not supposed to work without the subs at all, right?
So it's a speaker system with subs, so that may sound a bit strange, I guess. So they're essentially 4-way systems. So even on this guy who's really big with the 12-inch, this is a mid-bass driver and mid-range driver. So that's sort of what makes both systems so high capacity, because you use a different type of driver, much lighter cone, higher sensitivity. Because in a traditional monitor, where you want to reproduce below 100 Hertz as well, you need to use a quite heavy, low sensitivity woofer typically. So you sort of ruin all the headroom. This also is, you can daisy chain the subs as well. So in sort of the hifi market, we have people with like 4 or 6 or even 8 subs, just daisy chain them out. So yeah, that's a bit different.
Have you installed any like surround systems?
So we have some high-end customer with something called Trinnow. We use that in studios as well, I think. It's a room correction system.
Yeah. The one with all the... No, it's like a lot of microphones.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's used for home theater as well. And so we have some customers like that. So they have the mantas typically, and a number of subs. Trinnow also has something called waveforming, where you put the subs on the wall and you get sort of active cancellation stuff. So it's pretty advanced. So the subs you got here is quite. They can also be wall mounted actually.
Yeah, you can like.
Yeah, so that's actually something we could do here when you have limited space. But, that's also very beneficial for that Trinnow.
But right now, when we set up the stuff here, you said, it was a bit difficult to behind here.
It's a bit
as it is now. So now, one sub is placed against the wall, and one is just under the console here. And you said that it's actually good to have it
not so much symmetrical, because then you hit different room modes. So if you place it perfectly symmetrical, you probably hit both subs will hit the sort of at least one node where both of them will hit it. So it'll be even a higher peak or a higher dip. So we sort of mitigate that a bit, and but
just messes with my OCD.
So while we at the same time want the stereo sub, right, then it's sort of, we can't put it like a completely weird place, but we can at least change it a bit. And and the base below 100 hertz is basically omni, it radiates in all directions, so it doesn't matter if the sub is like twisted like 90 degrees. That's completely fine.
But do you think it would be beneficial for me to try and move it behind, or?
I guess if you can make the room, I would have tried to have them both, because you also they're designed to have the driver into the wall, because then you also then you remove the mode between the wall and the other walls. It's almost like a flush mounted, because then the driver gets close enough to the wall. It's also can be sort of put on the floor with the driver down. So there's some feet there somewhere. Could be an option as well, leaving it there, but actually because then you'd have the reinforcement from the floor.
Have you sold any like internationally, or is it mostly Europe?
It's so I sell so far around 50-50 in Norway and abroad. So it's, I guess, mostly Europe, but we've sold to the US and Canada as well. Just got a retailer in the US as well. But yeah, it's quite, especially in the hifi market, it's sort of an interest in other countries as well.
I'm very excited to start working on this, and I really hope I can hear this in a good environment. In a not too far future.
Try to make that happen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Cheers.